Welcome back, friends. Today I want to talk nursery organization. And before having a baby, I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that everything in our nursery looked perfect. Clothes were neatly folded, everything was perfectly lined up. But if there's one thing that motherhood has taught me, it's that it's not enough for your nursery's organization to look pretty. It has to function and to work for you too. And a lot of the things that I was doing just weren't practical or sustainable. So in the past several months, I've made a number of changes that have made my life as a new mom so much easier. And so today I want to share with you almost the organization ideas that I wish I knew when first setting up our nursery. So whether you're an expecting mama or just looking for ways to better organize your nursery, I hope that this can help give you some practical solutions and things that I found that really work. Let's start with talking about your diapering setup. I am team dresser over a changing table all day. There are a few reasons for that. Number one, you get a lot more storage with the dresser, which is just really useful because there are, whether it's clothing or other essentials, there's just a lot of bits that do better folded. So love a dresser for that reason. But then also too, they grow with your baby so much better than a diaper changing table. That's really something that you'll only use while your baby's in diapers. Whereas with a dresser that you put a diaper changing station on top of, you can just remove all the diapering bits when your baby's out of diapers, and then they've got this to grow up with. But organization wise, on the top, I recommend keeping it really simple. We just have our changing pad on here. This is the skip hop changing pad, which I love. It's about half the price of the Kikaroo peanut changer, which I feel like everybody talks about. So I love that it's more affordable, but it's so convenient because you can just wipe it clean, makes diaper changes so easy. It even has a little mobile on it, and Oliver is at the age currently that he loves that. Then we just have some wipes up here. And then let's talk about how to organize the inside of the dresser because I feel like that's the important part. I highly recommend these adjustable drawer dividers from Amazon. They're great because you can make them to fit any dresser. You don't need to have the exact setup that we have, but I really like them because they're a bit taller than a typical drawer divider that you'd see in a kitchen drawer or something like that, which makes it really helpful for being able to store things in them, and you kind of have a bit more depth. So it's almost like you have a drawer within a drawer. They're quite affordable too, which is another win. But then something that I love doing too is using little bins to create further separation within the drawer. So I have a couple on this side that I use to separate things like health supplies from diapering bits, from burp cloths, from creams. And then on this side, I use them to separate bibs from hats, from socks, from shoes. We don't have enough of any one of those categories to warrant using an entire drawer divider for them, so it's great just to create compartments within the compartment. Okay, but then while we're here at the dresser, just a couple of other things to keep in mind too are you really want to consider how you use the space, the functionality. So for example, we have our diaper changing pad over here on the left side of the dresser, which meant that it made the most sense for us to put the diapers and all the diaper rash creams, all of that on the right side, so that way I can be standing here changing our baby's diaper, reach for a diaper, grab the diaper rash cream, all of that, do it very seamlessly, as opposed to if I had it in this drawer here, I'd have to back out in order to be able to do that. So it just makes it really clean and seamless. And then just one other thing too, try to organize the dresser from most used to least used. So put your most frequently reached for items at the top, put the least used ones at the bottom. It's going to be a lot more practical. I feel like often I'll see people put like a junk drawer at the top of miscellaneous things that they just, don't know where else to put. That's the kind of thing that should go at the bottom because you're not going to be reaching for those items as much. So use those convenient top couple drawers for the things that you're reaching for daily, if not multiple times a day. Okay, then let's talk clothing. This is probably the single area where how I approach it has changed the most since having a baby. I really thought before having a baby that I would be able to maintain keeping things perfectly neat and folded, but very quickly realized that as a new mom, that is just not something that I had time for. So we've pivoted, and what I now do instead is the no fold method. It's exactly what it sounds like. All I do after washing clothes is lay them out vertically in the dresser. It saves you so much time trying to fold tiny baby clothes that are so finicky, always coming unfolded. I love that you can still see everything that you have and rummage through to find what you need without having to worry about ruining any fold. That's a solution that has worked so well for us, especially in the first few months. But if that method still feels a little bit too messy for you, or if you have a baby who's getting a bit bigger. The clothing items are a little bit larger, so it's easier to do some type of folding. What I would recommend doing instead, and what we're going to end up doing, is rolling your clothes. I'm thinking we're probably going to start doing that with either the next size up or the one after. That's another great option that allows you to see everything that you have. It's a little bit tidier, but it is a little bit harder to keep in shape when the clothes are really tiny, so it tends to work better for those larger sizes. But then let's talk hanging clothing, because whether it's cute outfits, matching sets, dresses, you're probably going to want to keep some of your baby's clothing hung up. So here's what I'd recommend. These velvet non-slip hangers that you can get on Amazon are such a game changer. Make it so that you don't need to worry about tiny little outfits falling to the ground. I love these, and you can get a pack of, I think I got 30 of them very affordably. Something else I'd recommend picking up is a couple of these pants hangers so that you can hang up an entire outfit together. And the ones I got match exactly with the hangers, so it's so seamless. Then just one other thing to consider are little size dividers. This is another thing that you can get super affordably on Amazon, and it's so helpful. I keep everything that's the current size towards the front. Everything he's outgrown is packed away, and then the future sizes we just keep kind of towards the back here. Now, on the topic of outgrown clothing, obviously you're going to want to put in long-term storage any clothing items that have been outgrown for future sizes. But what I'd recommend too is using either a bin, a basket, whatever you have, as sort of an interim spot for those items. Something that I didn't really realize prior to having a baby is that babies don't just magically graduate from one size to another, even though that would be so nice if it happened. But more often than not, they just grow out of one item at a time, because baby clothes sizes are not standard, which don't get me started on that. But given that that's the reality, here's what I like to do. I'll just keep this basket here in the closet, and as our baby grows out of things, I'll just put them in here and wait for it to fill up. And then once it's filled up completely, I'll go out and purchase or use one that we have, a bin that we can use to put the clothing items that we want to keep into long-term storage. Because it's just not worth going up to the attic every time Oliver outgrows one piece of clothing. So this is our in-between bin. It's really helpful. Now, on that note, something else that's probably worth mentioning is not everything that ends up in that in-between basket we're necessarily going to keep. I'd recommend being fairly selective with what baby items you choose to keep and to store long term. If this is your first baby or you're planning to have more children, I think it is a great idea to save some of those clothes and other baby items for future kids, but all that stuff adds up fast. And so what I'd recommend is keeping only your favorite and your most used items. So stick to basics. Sleepers, onesies are great, things that aren't super season specific. If you have 0 to 3 month shorts and have a baby born in the fall or winter, those are going to get absolutely no use. So try to pick things that are a bit more seasonless. Then also too, try to opt for more gender neutral items, because your next baby might be a girl, a boy, the opposite of what you have now. Less is more, and keep in mind that you're probably going to want to either go out to buy, or you'll be given a handful of new clothing items for your future baby as well. So love keeping the favorites, just try to be intentional about what you keep. And then something else to keep in mind is, as fast as your baby grows out of things, they'll be growing into things as well. And so it's a great idea to have some kind of system or place to store the things that your baby doesn't yet fit, or toys that they're not yet ready to play with. Hand-me-downs, gifts in larger sizes are a beautiful thing, but if your baby isn't ready for them, there's no point in having them out. So what I like to do is just to use baskets to store them in. I have one for clothes, one for toys. We just keep them in this little cube shelf situation here, but you could also totally store them at the top of a closet, and then just whenever your baby is ready to try out new toys, they grow into a new size of clothes, you can just pull that out, go through it, and pull out what they're ready for. So we stored that on here. Something else that we store on this shelf is backstock items, and I'd recommend keeping your backstock and stock separate. That might sound a little counterintuitive, but hear me out on this. You have 3 different tubs of diaper rash cream that you have all stored together. You are inevitably going to end up opening and using all of them, which just isn't efficient, creates confusion. So instead, put only 1 tub of diaper rash cream, 1 pack of wipes, only your current size of diapers in the changing station, and then keep the rest in a dedicated bin, a box somewhere in the closet. It's just one of those things that makes your life easier. You have to use less brain power in the middle of the night, in the early morning, when you're doing a diaper change, feeding the baby, whatever that looks like. Just have one option there, you can grab that, and there's no thinking needed. And some other tips to keep in mind: use labels for everything. That way, when you're putting the clothes away, restocking, anything like that, you don't need to think about, okay, what did I have in that drawer door divider, and you can just really quickly read the label, put it in there. Again, no thinking involved. Makes your life easier and also makes it easier for your spouse or anyone helping you out around the house. And something else you can consider is adding wall hooks, whether it's an accordion rack like this, individual peg hooks, whatever. Can be a great option for just storing miscellaneous baby items. We've loved having this set up to store all of our wraps, carriers. Maybe you want to put a diaper bag on here. And speaking of diaper bags, we could keep ours on our accordion rack, but we've actually found it most helpful just to keep it right here on the floor, right beside the changing table, so that it's really easy to reload when we're on our way out the door. Okay, let's talk books. I recommend keeping the majority of them where you tend to read most. For us, that's here in our living room. So we've dedicated half of one of these shelves. I'm sure we'll expand to more in the future. But we've dedicated half of this bottom shelf just to baby books. And that way, when we want to read, we don't need to walk all the way over to the nursery. We can just come here, pick out the next read. And something to consider for book storage in your nursery is to use your wall space. Floating shelves can be such a great way to store your baby's books. Now, you see these shelves? I want you to avoid my mistake. Unless you're planning to use shelves like these strictly for decor, skip them. This little support piece here is so low that even though you have a decent amount of space to store books in, you can't really do that without them all toppling over. So instead, I'd recommend getting floating shelves with either a higher support piece here or even a brace across the top. I feel like that's the ideal, so that you can actually store more than a couple of books on them. And when it comes to toys, again, we keep the majority of them here in the living room because this is where we play the most. I just keep everything stored in this basket here, which I love because it's fun. It definitely reads kid, but it also matches fairly well with the rest of my decor in here too. And in here, we just keep our play blanket, which most of the time stays out, but if we ever have company over, guests, put it away just so that I can help neaten our space up a bit. We'll just lay this down wherever tummy time or playtime happens to be during the day. I love that this is so easy to move around. Then the rest of what's in here is toys. You can see it, we've got some toys from our Love Every kits, couple stuffed animals. When babies are tiny, you really don't need all that much. The less you have, the easier it is to keep organized. So just something to keep in mind. Of course, you want to have some toys, but realistically, I think the problem in most American homes is not having too few toys, but instead too many. If you want to get kind of a more in-depth perspective of how I approach toys, I highly recommend the book Simplicity Parenting. We've been trying to apply a lot of that stuff. So that's what we do for the majority of our toys. Obviously, as our baby grows, we'll probably need to expand that storage solution a bit. So what I'm thinking we're likely going to end up doing is keeping some toys out in the living room and then also having some kind of additional storage set up, probably in the closet on the ground where Oliver can really easily just reach for whatever toys he's wanting to play with. That's very much so the philosophy that I'm trying to go with, is keeping things simple, using open-ended toys, kind of a more Montessori style approach. All right, well, we have covered a lot today, but I really hope that this has given you some practical ideas and solutions that you can use to better organize your nursery so that you can create a space that isn't just beautiful, because I'm all about a beautiful nursery, but also one that works for you, that makes your life as a new parent so much easier. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the best organization hacks, solutions that you found to organize your nursery? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. And just a quick reminder, if you're wondering where anything was that I shared in the video today, I always try to link to as much as possible in the description box. So if you're wondering where anything is from, be sure to check that out. But of course, if I did miss anything, go ahead and comment what you're looking for down below. I'd love to help you out with a link, or at least letting you know where I got something from. Now, as always, friends, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.